Good day. Welcome to Explore Protect YouTube channel. It's your host here at Money Magnet, Dr. Meiya. If you are new to this channel, we welcome you. You came to the right place where entrepreneurs meet. Set on your notifications so that each time there's a new video, you can be informed. If you've never seen other videos, go to the channel and find other videos around Meta's business, around Meta's finance, how you can assist and build your entity. And while we're there, if you want to connect with me, right below this video, you'll find my social media links where you can connect with me. Before we dig in, remember to comment and to like this video and to have a conversation. Today, I want us to talk about capital structure, something that all of us as entrepreneurs, we either consciously or otherwise are always doing, are always managing how to have an optimum capital structure for our entities. So two things that I want us to talk about today. The first one is really what are the sources of capital, and the second one will just really be the uses of the capital that we have. So let's assume you have a total capital of $1 million, which is really the proportion of debt equity and of debt and equity and other related securities. That could be convertible debentures, that could be preference shares, but I'm not going to go to that. Let's just focus on the main sources of capital, which are usually debt and equity. So let's assume here that this entity has got a capital of $1 million, and that will be the allocation of what proportions of other forms of capital are to constitute this million. Simply put, you can see there's equal allocation of debt capital as much as equity capital. Clearly see here they are all in equal proportions. What is important here is for you to find out what is the optimum structure for your entity. Now, the optimum structure, it's what you are working towards, not necessarily what your current capital structure is. Now, I think it's also important when you're thinking about this optimum capital structure to just look at what are the benefits of increasing either of this or dealing with solely either of this. When you look at debt capital in particular, something that you already know is that the payments on the debt are tax deductible. That's a real benefit. And the second benefit is that when you're financing the entity or the project with debt, you do not lose any ownership. You retain the entirety of the control and ownership of the entity or the project. And lastly is that usually debt financing is relatively less costly than equity financing is. And maybe one of the benefits I could add, if you are the funder, you're the provider of capital, is that you almost are guaranteed some cash flows as interest payable plus principal interest. And a number of instruments can be used, either a loan or bonds, but we're not going to go there. Here we're just looking at the debt in its totality. Now, the second here that we're talking about is the equity capital. Now, this could really, and this equity capital could be entirely owned by you if you're a solopreneur, or if you want to raise funds, you then have to sell a proportion of your equity to the investors. The nice thing about equity capital is that as opposed to payments every month or every year, dependent on the structure of the contract, you don't have any obligation to pay the money acquired through capital, because investors that invest in equity understand that there's inherent risk in owning capital. So now that we understand and we reminded ourselves what are the sources of capital, the last thing that I just want us to chat about is what are the uses of this capital that we have. You don't just acquire capital for the sake of having capital. So usually the capital that we have can either be used to buy capital assets or to manage the net working capital. And really the difference between the two is that your capital asset or your fixed assets or your long-term assets are those assets that you buy to ensure that the entity grows and creates future cash flows beyond a period of 12 months. When net working capital is basically giving you the ability to meet your short-term obligations when they are due in a 12 months period. So what we dealt with here is what the sources of capital are, and I said mainly it's debt and equity, and how we use this capital. If you look at this, it's essentially giving you the balance sheet. We really use this capital for capital assets and net working capital. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. I'm your host here at Money Magnet. It's Dr. Meiya. Until we meet on the next video, have